Hello students, welcome to a new lecture of organic compounds. In the last class we were discussing about isomerism, and in that we have seen first two types of structural isomerism, which was chain isomerism and functional group isomerism. Now let us go to the next type of isomerism, or the next type of structural isomerism, which is position isomerism. And how I will define position isomerism is when two compounds have same molecular formula, same functional group, but its position is only different. Position of the functional group is different in compound A and compound B. And always remember, to make you confused, they may give you two isomers and ask you whether they are position or functional or whatever it is. Whatever is there in the name, only that is different, means everything else is same. In chain isomerism, only chain is different, chain of the parent skeleton is different. That means the longest carbon chain which comes under the root word, only that chain is different. Everything else, meaning double bond, sigma bond, functional group, which functional group, everything else is same, only the chain is different. Whenever you are given with A and B, just check the length of the chain. Okay? If they ask you whether they are chain isomers or not, first step for finding out any isomer is find out the length of the chain. Longest carbon chain is hept, longest carbon chain is hex. They are chain isomers. No need to check anything else, just look at the length of the chain. Okay? Because in chain isomerism, everything else is same, only the chain is different. Coming to the next type of isomerism, in functional group isomerism, everything else, when you say everything else, even chain is also same. Chain what is included here? No. If it is not included, even that is same. Position what is included here? No. That means even position is also same. Chain is also same, position of the functional group is also same, branches are also same, everything is same, but the only difference is functional group. In compound A, if functional group is alcohol, its name should be heptanol. In compound B, the functional group is ether. Same way, both of them is heptanol or hexanol, they are not functional group. Heptanol is one, hexanol is another, means they are chain isomers. Heptanol is one and dipropyl ether is other, means they are functional group isomerism. Right? In functional group isomerism, only functional group is different and everything else, whether the length of the chain or the position of the group, everything is the same. Coming to the next isomerism, which is position isomerism, I will take the example of butanol. 1, 2, 3, 4. Add the required number of hydrogens. What is the name of this compound? It is butane having alcohol. So I will remove E and add alcohol. As it is present at first position, whether you write or not doesn't make any difference, but now I will write because I can get another alcohol with the same number of carbons. Now give numbering to this compound. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the name of this compound? This is also alcohol. So I will write butane. As alcohol is present, remove E. Where is the alcohol present? At second position, right? In compound A also, the length of the carbon is 4. In compound B also, length of the carbon is 4. Are they chain isomers? No, they are not chain isomer, because chain is not different, chain is same. Are they functional group isomers? No, they are not functional group isomers, because in compound A also functional group is alcohol, in compound B also the functional group is alcohol. Then which isomer are they? In this compound, the position of alcohol is at first carbon. In this compound, the position of alcohol is at second carbon, right? Only the change is taking place for position of carbon, nothing else. So these two isomers are called as position isomers. I will take another example. What is the name of this compound? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 carbon means pentanone. I will write pentane. What is the pentane is the root word. What is the functional group? Ketone. If ketone is present, what should be the root word? What should be the suffix? Pentanone. Where is ketone present? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ketone is present on third carbon. So I should write pentane 3-on, right? I will get another compound in which carbons are total 5 only, but ketone's position is different. I will give numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the root word? Root word is pentane even here also. What is the functional group? Functional group is ketone even here also. So for ketone, what should be the suffix? On. But where is that ketone present? It is present on second carbon. So if this is pentane 3-on, this is pentane 2-on, the only difference between these two isomers are position of the functional group. Everything else is same, right? So these are position isomers in which the position of the functional group is different and functional group is same but the position is different, right, with same molecular formula. Now we will go towards next isomer, which is metamerism. In metamerism there is nothing like same different in the name. You have to remember metamerism. You remember one point, that metamerism is applicable or seen in only ethers. Okay, metamerism will not be present in other than ethers. So you have to remember, if two ethers are given to you, for example, you can rest assured that they are metamers or metamerism is present. But what is the requirement? Compound A also should be ether, compound B also should be ether. If that is the case, those are metamers only. Why? We will see. What is the name of this compound? We have already seen them in functional group isomers, right? This is ether. What are the groups around ether? This is one group, this is another group, right? What are these groups? This is ethyl group and this is also ethyl group. So how many ethyl groups are there? 2 ethyl groups. So I will write diethyl ether as the name of this compound, which for example is compound A. Now I will write another ether in which 2 alkyl groups are present around oxygen. But what are those alkyl groups? This is one alkyl group, this is another alkyl group. What is the name of this alkyl group? Methyl. What is the name of this alkyl group? Propyl. Who comes first in the alphabet? M comes first and P comes later. So this is also an ether only, but its name should be methyl propyl ether. What is the molecular formula of this compound? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 carbons. Hydrogens 3 plus 2, 5. 3 plus 2, 5. C4H10 and 1 O. Right? Coming to this compound, what is the molecular formula? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 carbons. 3 plus 2, 5 plus 5, 10. Total hydrogens are 5, 1 oxygen. Molecular formula is same in compound A and B, but the alkyl groups present around ether are different. You can define by using ether, it's not a big problem, right? So the definition is, when two compounds are having same molecular formula but different alkyl groups around ether, they are called as metamers to each other, and the condition is called as metamerism. right? Whether the isomerism was chain or functional group or position or metamerism. In all the cases, compound A is having different structure and compound B is having different structure. Therefore, all these are called as structural isomers. Okay. Now we will go towards stereoisomers, in which molecular formula should be same but its orientation should be different. Coming to optical isomerism, if you just give definition, that's more than enough. Optical isomerism means when two isomers have same molecular formula but different rotation of towards light. Optical means when you give light towards compound A and give light to compound B, compound A will rotate that light towards right side or clockwise direction and compound B will rotate that light towards left side or anti-clockwise direction. Molecular formula is same, structure is also same, but what is the difference? Property of rotating the light is different for A and B, right? No need to give example, just giving definition is more than enough. Two isomers rotating the plane polarized light towards different directions are called as optical isomers, and the condition is called as optical isomerism. Coming to geometrical isomerism, when two compounds which are having a double bond, double bonds should be present in compound A and B, then only geometrical isomerism can be applied, otherwise it is not possible. Okay. So, in any compounds in which double bonds are present, will have, if same groups present on the same side, they are called as cis to each other or cis isomer. If same groups are present on the opposite side, they are called as trans isomer or trans to each other. On the double bond, they are present same sides. On the double bond, they are present on the opposite side. In this compound, both of them are present above the double bond. In this compound, one of them is present above the double bond, other is present below the double bond, right? So, if two compounds are having same molecular formula, but the groups are present on different sides of the double bond, are called as geometrical isomers. In geometrical isomer, one of the isomer is called as cis isomer and the other isomer is called as trans isomer. By this we have finished isomerism, and then we will move towards the next important topic. Now we are going to start about organic reactions. Till now we have only seen what are the names of the organic compounds, what are the different structures of organic compounds, but now we will see how organic reactions takes place, right? So generally before organic chemistry, whatever we know is every chemical reaction will have a reactant which undergoes the reaction to become a product, right? This is what we know till now. Shall we apply the same procedure for organic reactions also? Even organic compounds also has reactant which will be converted into product? No. This route of reactant getting converted into product will not be followed by organic compounds. So, which route will they follow? They follow a special path which is specific to organic compounds only, and that is, you will not call them as reactants but rather you will call them as substrate. Organic compounds are, any organic compound who is undergoing the reaction should not be called as a reactant. What you should call them as? A substrate. A substrate will combine with a reagent. It is an agent, it is helping the substrate to become a product. So, it is called as a reagent. When substrate takes the help from a reagent, it is converted not into product but into an intermediate. And finally, intermediate will be converted into a product. Directly reactant into product you will not get. All these steps should be undergone, then only organic reaction becomes complete. What are those steps? Those who are undergoing a reaction should be called as a substrate, and those who are helping the substrate for the reaction are called as a reagent, and when both of them combine you will get an intermediate which will finally give you a product, right? So substrate and reagent should be opposite in nature, then only they can combine. What are the different natures of substrate and reagent? Is nucleophilic and electrophilic, right? You can if your substrate is nucleophilic in nature, your reagent should be electrophilic in nature. If your substrate is electrophilic in nature, your reagent should be nucleophilic in nature. What does it mean by nucleophilic and electrophilic? Is nucleophilic substrate means it has nucleophile in it. Same way, electrophilic substrate means it has electrophile in it. Same can be concluded for reagent also. If nucleophilic reagent is there, that means it will have a nucleophile. If electrophilic reagent is there, that means it will have an electrophile. Now we will see the definition of nucleophile and electrophile. What does it mean by nucleophile? Nucleophile means any atom or a molecule on which extra electrons are present, which can be donated to others. It can be an atom, it can be a molecule. It can be an atom, it can be a molecule. It can be an atom, it can be a molecule. It can be an atom, it can be a molecule. It can be negatively charged and has extra electrons, and it can be neutral but still has extra electrons in the form of lone pairs. This is negative charge but still nucleophile having extra electrons. Negative charge, extra electrons, 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 but no negative charge but still extra electrons, no negative charge but still extra electrons, right? So the definition of nucleophile is any atom or a molecule in which extra electrons are present in the form of a negative charge or lone pair of electrons, which can be donated to others. So they are also called as electron donors because they have electrons with them, so they can donate easily to others, right? They are called as electron donors. These are called as nucleophiles, and if nucleophile is present in the reagent is called as nucleophilic reagent. If nucleophile is present in the substrate is called as nucleophilic substrate, right? Coming to the next definition of electrophile. Electrophile is also an atom or a molecule. Even carbanions also can be included. Atom or a molecule in which electron deficiency is present, whether in the form of a positively charged or in the form of a neutral molecule, but they should have electron deficiency in them. If electron deficiency is present in them, what they will do is they will readily accept electron from others, so they are called as electron acceptors. So now I will define electrophile once again. Electrophiles are atom or a molecule in which electron deficiency is present, either in the form of a positive charge or in the form of a neutral. In the first thing, in the first electrophile you can see a positive charge, but in the second and third there is no positive charge. But why are they behaving like an electrophile? Is in the first compound, carbon should have a tetravalency of 4, but it is having only 3. If carbon is having tetravalency, it is surrounded by 8 electrons, octet is satisfied. But if it is present in this manner, it is surrounded with only 3 bonds, that means 6 electrons are present, 1 more bond is missing, so 2 electrons are less. Electron deficiency. Coming to methyl free radical, even that is also having the same case. Actually carbon should have 4 bonds, that means 8 electrons, but methyl free radical is having only 3 bonds, that means 6 electron plus 1 extra electron is present in the form of a dot. But instead of having 8 electrons, it is having only 7 electrons, therefore electron deficiency. Coming to the other, which is carbonyl carbon, as it is present along with oxygen, oxygen being more electronegative takes away the electron and carbon gets a positive charge, but it is a neutral electrophile only. Why it is electrophile is, it is in contact with oxygen, which will make the carbon electron deficient by attracting the electron towards itself. So even carbonyl carbon is also electrophilic in nature. Carbocations, free radicals and carbonyl carbon are the examples of electrophile, and the reagent in which electrophile is present is called as electrophilic reagent. The substrate in which electrophile is present is called as electrophilic substrate. And whenever your substrate is electrophilic in nature, your reagent has to be nucleophilic, and if your substrate is nucleophilic in nature, your reagent should be electrophilic. Now we talked about substrate and reagent. Next is intermediate. Who will be acting like an intermediate is whenever substrate and reagent combines, you will get different intermediates, and the 3 intermediates are carbocation. Carbocation can act as an electrophile also, but that is different. But intermediates are actual carbocations. Carbocations, carboanions and free radicals. Now we will look into 3 intermediates individually and find out its order of stability. Okay. Taking into consideration the first intermediate, which is carbocation, it should have a positive charge. Now we will first define what a carbocation is. What is a cation? Anyone having a positive charge is called as cation, and anyone having a negative charge is called as anion, right? Then what is carbocation? In a compound, if positive charge is present on the carbon, that compound is called as carbocation, right? If positive charge is present on the carbon, it should have only 3 bonds. It should have only 3 bonds. Out of the total 3 bonds, if all the bonds are with hydrogen only, it is called as methyl carbocation. Because total bonds should be 3. Out of that 3 bonds, the 3 bonds are coming with hydrogen only, that carbocation is called as methyl carbocation. But if you have a carbocation in which out of the total number of bonds, one of the bond is along with a carbon and the other 2 bonds are along with hydrogens, that type of carbocation is called as a primary carbocation. In primary carbocation, out of the 3 bonds, one bond is made with carbon and the other 2 bonds are made with hydrogens. Next one we have is a carbocation in which out of the 3 bonds you are making 2 bonds with carbon and only 1 bond with a hydrogen. Therefore, this type of carbocation in which 2 carbons are attached to the carbocation is called as a secondary carbocation. When 2 carbons are attached to the carbocation, it can only have 1 hydrogen because total should always be 3. Coming to the next type of carbocation in which 3 carbons are attached to the 3 carbons are attached to the carbocation. So there is no chance of hydrogen getting attached to the carbocation. These hydrogens we are not talking about. We are talking about carbocation only. On the carbocation, how many carbons and how many hydrogens are there? In this carbocation, the carbon has 3 hydrogens. In this carbocation, the carbon has 2 hydrogens. In this carbocation, the carbon has only 1 hydrogen, and in this carbocation, the carbon has 0 hydrogens. For 0 carbons, 3 hydrogens, the cation is called as methyl carbocation. The next is primary carbocation, the next is secondary carbocation, and the next is tertiary carbocation. Among them, one of the carbocation will be most stable and the others will be less stable. Who is most stable carbocation? Let us see. If you compare all the carbocations, every carbon atom has a positive charge, every carbon atom has an electron deficiency. So, if carbons present beside is able to remove that electron deficiency, then it becomes more stable. If carbon present around it are not able to remove electron deficiency, that means it is less stable. So, we will see first, second, third, fourth, where is the electron deficiency less, that carbocation will be more stable. Where is the electron deficiency more, that carbocation will be less stable. Electron deficiency should be reduced. Wherever it is getting reduced, there it is more stability, there it has more stability, and wherever it is not getting reduced will have less stability. So, looking at the first methyl carbocation, there is no carbon directly attached. There are no one who can remove the electron deficiency of this carbon. So, therefore, methyl carbocation is least stable. Then comes primary carbocation in which there is one carbon who is trying to remove the electron deficiency here by giving some of its electron towards this carbon by inductive effect. Right? How many carbons are getting surrounded? Only one. What difference it can make? A little difference. Therefore, primary carbocation is a little bit more stable than methyl carbocation because it is reducing the electron deficiency to a little bit. Then comes the secondary carbocation in which there are 2 carbons. There are 2 carbons. This carbon is pushing the electrons to remove electron deficiency. This carbon is also pushing the electrons to remove electron deficiency. So, secondary carbocation is more stable than the primary because 2 carbons are helping to remove electron deficiency. Then comes tertiary carbocation in which there are 3 carbons to remove the electron deficiency of the center carbon, thereby making tertiary carbocation to be the highest stable among all carbocations. If tertiary carbocation is highly stable, who is least stable? Methyl carbocations. In the next class, we will see the stabilities of free radicals and carbanions. Thank you.